It's so much easier to start bird watching today than it was when I started in the early 1970s. There are so many resources available to learn about bird identification and where to find birds today. And that's what this video is about. My recommendations for starting bird watching: binoculars, field guides, websites, and apps. This is what I'd do if I were starting over. In fact, it is what I'm doing today. I'm talking about more serious bird watching, not just feeder watching or general nature observation. This video is geared to those who desire to go out and regularly find birds, especially for those trying to find new birds they've never seen before. I've put links in the description to any products I recommend. What are the best binoculars for beginning birders? My first binoculars were department store brands, something like Tasco. They were affordable, but they weren't very good compared to what's available today. They tended to wear out or break, and it was so easy to knock them out of alignment. They were poro prisms, so they were a little big and bulky. They weren't waterproof or fog-proof at all. I remember that when I watched birds in the winter that I would have to put the binoculars up on the dashboard of the car and turn the defroster on until they were unfogged. There are now so many good binoculars to choose from. Most are better than those department store brands that I started with. Top of the line could be more than $2,000. Brands like Zeiss and Swarovski and Leica. And in recent years, superior optics have reached even to the low-end models, the lower-priced ones. With that, however, I want to give you a warning. Don't be tempted to buy binoculars that are priced under $200. They'll have poor optical quality, give you eye strain and headaches, and they break easily. Another recommendation that you'll hear is to try before you buy, and that's a good idea. However, remember that in the store, all the binoculars look good. It's only that when you get into low light conditions out in the woods at dawn on a gray and cloudy day that the difference in binoculars really becomes clear. So here's my binocular recommendation. In my opinion, these are the best binoculars in their price range, and you don't get anything better until you double the price that you spend. The first one's a budget binocular. It's the Celestron Nature DX ED 8x42. The best binocular in the mid-range is this one, the Nikon Monarch M7 8x42s. They come in at about $500, while these Celestrons are priced about $225. So what makes these binoculars so good for birding? Well, they're both 8x42s. That's the perfect balance between magnification and brightness. Some people love 10x42s. They are good for shorebirds, sea watches, hawks, but they do have a little bit of problem. In good light, they're okay, but they tend to be heavier, a little dimmer, and have a narrow field of view, which I'm going to talk about next. These are roof prism design, so they're very compact, they're rugged, they're waterproof, they're fog-proof. They have a very wide field of view, and they have ED glass. That's extra low dispersion glass. You need that if you get any binoculars. They have a brighter, sharper, more colorful image. They also have long eye reliefs, so you can keep your glasses on. And they have a limited lifetime warranty. That means if there's any workmanship problems or defects, that they'll replace them. You'll need to fill out the warranty card and make sure you have the purchase receipt too, and keep that. So what do these more expensive Nikons have over the cheaper Celestron brand. One of the main issues is that the Nikons have reinforced chassis. They're a little bit sturdier. They have firmer eye cup detents in Celestron, whether you use glasses or not. The Celestrons tend to be a little bit loose in that regard, and you may have to keep readjusting them as they push in. Both of these binoculars have wide field of view, but these Nikons especially have a very wide field of view at 420 feet at 1,000 yards. They're clear and sharp all the way to the edge of the view, and they have a consistently superior build quality. The only disadvantage, strap that it comes with, the neck strap that it comes with. I bought these wide padded ones from Bushnell, and they help on a long day out in the field. What are the best field guides for beginning birders? My first field guide was a Peterson 1969 Field Guide to Western Birds. The plates of the bird images were not even on the same page as the text. The images were all small and stylized, as is Peterson's style. All birds are painted in the same pose, whether that was natural for the bird or not. Some of the plates were monochrome. There were no maps in those early ones. Everything changed in 1983 when the National Geographic Society put out their field guide to the birds. The maps and text faced the bird images on the page. The paintings were by several artists with slightly different styles, but it immediately became the field guide for beginner birders and really all birders in North America. And it remained so until the year 2000. I've got my 7th edition field guide right here. It was published in 2017. The Sibley Guide to Birds was released in the year 2000, and it's a worthy competitor to the National Geographic Guide. There's even more images of every bird, and all by David Sibley, so they're all in the same style, and they're all in lifelike poses and shapes that Sibley captures so well. They're perfect posture, just like the real birds in life. It includes flight images even of passerines, and this 2nd edition is from 2014, unfortunately with some printing issues in that 2nd edition, especially the colors were oversaturated and a little dark. So which one's better? That's been a debate for 25 years. They're both great. I preferred the National Geographic Guide until about the last 5 years when I've been tending towards Sibley. However, there's been many names and taxonomy changes and new bird records for North America in the last 10 years. And the National Geographic Guide 8th edition is coming out in September of 2025. There's no new field guide in the works for Sibley, though. He has a digital app which is kept up to date, and I'll talk about more of that later. But for now, the paper field guide, National Geographic, the 8th edition is the best guide for birders. I'll give away my age now. When I started birding, there was no such thing as a mobile phone. There were no personal computers, no internet, no email, no apps for bird songs. To listen to bird songs, I'd have to go to the library and get out the phonograph and the vinyl LP record and listen to them there in the library. For bird ID information, I'd have to subscribe to different magazines, and then I'd have to learn about bird status and distribution that way. It was very slow. Some of these magazines allowed me to find out what rare birds were seen nearby 6 months to a year ago. No birders should be without 2 free apps on their phones, eBird and Merlin. You run these while you're out birding, and it's a game changer for birds. The eBird mobile app is free, and it connects to your account on the free eBird website. There's so many advantages to this. You can find out what birds have been seen by recently, up to 30 days and 30 miles from where you are now. It notifies you of birds in your county, state, or country that you haven't seen or that you want to see. It's great about creating checklists in the field as you bird, and you just tap them in as you see them. You can add to the numbers. If you see something unusual, you can write comments in the field. It maps your route and keeps track of the time and the distance you spent. The checklist will tell you what species are expected and what species are rare in your area. It enters this checklist into a database, and we'll talk more about the features of this on the eBird website that I'll discuss in a minute. Merlin is another free app. It has a basic photo field guide with maps and audio recordings, which might be helpful. It links to your eBird account for keeping track of sightings. It has a step-by-step bird identifier. I don't find that very helpful. It does identify bird photos that are taken with your phone or perhaps on the back of a camera. But here's where it really shines. Merlin hears the birds in the field, records them, and identifies those songs and calls live. While you're hearing them, while you're seeing the bird, it tells you what they are. After you record a section, you can immediately play it back and locate the bird on the recording and see a sonogram of it. You can even hear and listen to verify that that's what you heard and that's the bird that it is. It doesn't do well hearing over traffic noise or leaves blowing in the wind or rushing water. And it's only about 95% accurate. That means you have to verify what it's saying, either by seeing the bird yourself after you note it, or by listening to it and go, yeah, that's it. You can learn bird songs and calls really easily with this app. You can share the audio recordings with others and add it to your eBird checklist even with some auto editing software. Those two are essential. Here's one that you might want to consider, the Sibley Field Guide app. It's about $20. The taxonomy is continuously updated beyond the 2014 book. It's got Sibley's excellent artwork and updated ID. It's got audio files of the bird's song. It's got a smart search, kind of like Merlin, to help you figure out what you saw. It allows you to compare two species on the same page. It'll create a personal list. For instance, you can have it filter to customize or personalize the birds shown in your region only. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the best birding websites for beginning birders. Of course, we have to talk about eBird. eBird.org is where you go on the website, you sign up and get an account. The website's free, and the mobile app that we talked about earlier is free. eBird really transformed birding in the early 2000s. It's such an invaluable tool for birders that it's hard to imagine birding without eBird. And this has been the case for at least 15 years. The data is used by scientists and birders alike, and now, as of June 2025, it's reached over 2 billion bird records in their database. So setting up an eBird account should be the first thing a beginning birder does. So what are the features of eBird? You can create and edit your checklists. It's better to create in the eBird mobile app while you're in in the field. Then come back and put your photos and audio recordings, if you have them, using the desktop web version. These recordings go into the Macaulay library where they're permanently filed away. eBird keeps track of all your lists. It will send you out needs alert by email of birds you haven't seen or want to see. You can search for birds for exact places where they've been seen and in certain time periods or years. You can create abundance bar charts for any region, county, state, and public birding hotspots, which is real key. If you want to find out what birds are at a local park, you can look this up. If there's some gaps missing, you can go during those times and fill them in. It's very rewarding. So I want to talk a little bit about what happens when you report a rare bird in eBird. When you enter a bird into eBird mobile app, right when you see it, and it detects that it's unusual, it'll prompt you for more details. Perhaps it was a high number of birds that was beyond what the filter is set for. How did you count those? Did you estimate, count exactly? Perhaps did you double count? Was it really rare? If that's the case, then the details are what you saw, not the bird's name, not how well you know it, but the exact field marks, the size, the shape. Can you describe the bird so that others will know what you saw without you naming the bird? Sometimes unusual birds are because it was an early or late date. I live in a remote area that doesn't get birded very often, so it's not unusual for me to have a couple of these rare bird notifications almost every time I go out on a birding excursion, especially at time of year when no one else has been there. So how does the review process work on eBird? First of all, when you put your photos into your checklist, AI looks at it and notify you if it thinks that you might have misidentified it. If not, just type in an explanation saying, yep, this is the bird, it's the AI is wrong or not accurate. But then it always goes to a real person. There are experienced local birders who volunteer to review rare bird reports for your county. If you didn't put any field marks in or a description of the bird, they'll contact you by email through eBird for more information. If your photo or audio doesn't match the reported species, they'll let you know too. Now, reviewers aren't checklist police. They keep the public data as accurate as possible, and they help you out if they can. Species that are in review still show up on all your checklists unless you change or remove them. Look at it as a learning experience on how to identify birds, but also how to write a rare bird report even and document rare birds. Here's another website that you should go to. It's all about birds, and it's from the Cornell lab, the same people who brought you eBird and now Merlin. It's allaboutbirds.org. They have an online field guide. It's very in-depth. It has identification and life history. It has cool facts, a photo gallery, and it will compare similar species. I found out there's even more things on there when I researched this video. They have a bird academy where you can take classes. There's courses that are free, and they have some fee courses as well. There's a Living Bird magazine article archive. I didn't know anything about it. There are webcams, they've got binoculars and gear list. I looked, the ones I recommend are also very good in their list as well. They have some birding festivals listed and even talk about feeding birds. So it's a good website to have bookmarked on your computer. Now I want to talk about some of my favorite YouTube channels for birding. YouTube's kind of tough on creators, especially birders, because it's slow to grow. And the successful YouTubers are ones who stick out the 4, 5, 6 years of no views before it finally starts. So here's the ones that I kind of like. There are a couple of people who are doing absolutely fantastic jobs of species accounts, fascinating facts and stories about birds. All Things Birdie and Joe Alwood. Those two are great. There's also birding vlogs. I'm not too much into these, but they take you along to new places, and while they're going birding, they take video and share it with you. I tried this. I can't talk and watch birds at the same time, much less film a video. So probably won't see very many of this type of videos from me. These birding vlogs include Bright-Eyed Birding, Brit Hikes Ontario, and The Birding Voyage. These are some that I watch occasionally. And then there's birding skills and ID channels like my own, Absorbed in Nature. The American Birding Association has What's This Bird Live? It's almost always every Friday. Photos of unusual birds, and then the two birders talk about what the ID is. Badgerland Birding, those young brothers and their birding adventures there in Wisconsin, it's great. Better Birders, he's just starting out, a very young birder. Bob Duchesne, he's in Maine. He's got some green screen and fascinating bird videos. Bright-Eyed Birding Learn channel has more ID. His main channel on Bright-Eyed Birding is more of birding vlog, take you birding with him. And then a new person that came up recently is Doug Hitchcox, and he does a fantastic, more almost scholarly rendering of bird information. And that's it. Those are my beginning birdwatcher recommendations for those who are serious about birding, those grabbing their binoculars weekly, if not daily. The things I've outlined will help you see and identify birds and grow your birding skills much more quickly than I did starting out. And again, remember to check the description for links to products and websites. Thank you so much for watching.